Joining ADVOCACY, the founder of The World Is Your Bowl of Noodles. And thank you guys for just popping into this episode. Before we get into it, please subscribe. It is totally free. You don't have to pay for anything. It's just one click of a button. It helps our organization. It helps us do what we can do. And just thank you so much for being here. Let's get into the episode.
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to The World Is Your Bowl of Noodles, Slurp Noodles and Chats. I am the host, Jordan ADVOCACY, and today we have a very special guest. Please give it up for AYO FOLA. He is absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to hear the amazing things he's about to say. And just thank you so much for being here and for being a part of the podcast, and let's get into it. All right, Mr. AYO, do you want to tell us a little about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Hello, my name is AYO FOLA, and I'm a Nigerian. I help create communities where organizations, individuals can create impact. The founder of the African Climate Change Movement. I have an interest in ESG, and I've been doing all of this for about 6 years now. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I wanted to go into, of course, the first question, and I wanted to know what first inspired you to step into sustainability and climate advocacy work?
I was about 17 when I got into university, and there was this lecturer, Nigerian lecturer, that just came to the class and just mentioned climate change, and I got really inquisitive, and because I was also studying geography and environmental management, so I went to the library to research about it and got so scared, and I started asking myself, I'm like, and by the way, this is 2017, 2018. I'm asking myself, wait, does everybody really know about this? And why is everybody just like looking at this and nothing is being done? You know, so I got really inquisitive, started reading all the books, stopped basketball practice, stopped being a pretty boy in school or whatever it was then, and just focused on the library, watched all the YouTube videos I could find then. And yeah, I decided to do an advocacy situation on campus.
That's amazing. And honestly, like props to the professor who actually got you into it because that's how it sparked your like knowledge in climate change. But I wanted to get into because I know you touched on your movement or what you found, which was the African climate change movement. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it all started?
So I'd done the university projects like in university, I'd done like a climate work. We probably had about 4,000 people marching on campus. And I had connected with different people in Nigeria trying to find, okay, who's doing what about this? How do we really link up? And then one of the biggest problems I had was finding people at this time. And so I started up like a WhatsApp group and started bringing different people, started doing like webinars and stuff, and started bringing different people across Africa at this time. And there were not a lot of young people also at this time involved in stuff like this. So we did a WhatsApp group, and I started getting people from like different parts of Africa. And soon enough, I had to start doing translations on like all this translation to Google Translate because people were speaking French and Portuguese and different languages and Swahili. And so I couldn't really manage it anymore. So it was then called the still called the African Climate Change Movement. So we just recently digitized it that where people can have their own page, log in, input their projects, their events. Um, they can connect with each other, create partnerships, and even get some micro grants.
That's amazing. And of course, when you saw it get bigger, of course, the pressure, just trying to keep it afloat and everything, which is working wonderfully. I just logged onto the page like a few minutes ago before going on. It's like, wow, this is actually amazing. So props to you, Mr. Ayo. But I wanted to go into, of course, communication. And I want to know, you balance communication, activism, and leadership. How do you stay grounded while doing so much at the same time?
That's a very difficult question. So first things first, I I try to be true to myself first. First things first. What am I talking? What exactly am I communicating? What am I? Do I feel good about what I'm doing? was just doing like a, I just completed editing a video, for example, and I was asking myself, is this a video I want to put out? I ask myself questions like that. So it helps me mentally to know if if I'm you know, grounded. Then secondly, I stay very close to people that care about me. And it can be really overwhelming doing this kind of work. But I stay very close to people that care about me and support me, and I have a good community around me.
That's amazing. It's also important to have that, of course, family, friends who support you and persistence and determination. I don't know if you're still in college. I don't know. Wait, are you in college still?
So I'm doing my master's program now in,
And
in
that's even more like that's more intense. So with academics and everything else you're doing, I can imagine the pressure is so immense, but you're doing an amazing job at it. And so just thank you again for what you're doing for Africa and of course the climate community. But I want to know what moment made you realize climate conservation conversations in Africa needed a stronger voice?
I've always known that so whenever like I told you, anytime when I visited the library in university, all the books I was reading was by Indians and people in the UK, and predictions on all the YouTube videos I found were people that were um, from other parts of the world, and I couldn't see anybody that could tell me now it's in the apple with this, right? Or someone that could really break it down in the simplest. So I had to like, it took me so much time to really understand some things that were very complex, because it's science and sometimes it's not that fun, right? So this was something that was very important for me. I wanted to make sure that every young person like myself that was a random guy, just could get it. At some point I started using Pigeon, but it wasn't working because my my Pigeon is not 100%. But I just kept on putting in, and I realized I think that there are a couple of great people now that are doing some of this type of family communications. Is getting bigger and hopefully gets much more bigger.
And like you said, I mean, I'm Igbo, so like really, I going back to Nigeria, they don't talk about climate change. They say, "Oh, the sky is, blue or something."
Yeah,
So, the conversation
yeah.
like climate change isn't such a big deal, but I'm glad that you are making it, I guess, I wouldn't say digestible, but like more like, people can connect to it better and like understand like, oh, this is a bigger issue in Africa than we thought. And so that's very important. And I know that you've worked across different countries and communities. What common challenge do you see people facing around sustainability?
What? Didn't get that.
Oh, you've worked across different countries and communities. What common challenge do you see people facing around sustainability?
So I think that there is a complex that people have, that this is sometimes they see climate change and misinformation, really is what I would say. Sometimes they see climate change as a Western propaganda, or sometimes they see it as culture, or like God being angry with them, or religion and stuff. So it's very difficult, especially for people that are way older, because Nigeria or even Africa is we're very cultural people, and there are values that we really prioritize. So if, for example, I'm talking to someone who is in their 40s and 50s, telling them, yo, this is what's happening. They're like, what do you know? What do you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. But they probably will know that in the past 6 years, I've probably watched over 300 videos on YouTube on climate change, or like read review paper articles, and involved myself on policy conversations um, across several borders in the real sense, on different areas of climate change. So I think that it's a very interesting twist. But misinformation, I would say, is something that is very, very serious.
Exactly. And with, of course, being in the States, a lot of climate deniers, people who think that climate change isn't real. And of course, you brought up factors such as religion and other things. So really, there is a lot of like commotion around if climate change is real, but the evidence is around us. You just have to look. And so like,
Yeah.
it's really, of course, like you said too, there's so much culture in Nigeria that people even think science, they don't think science might be even real. So really, there's so much that we need to like unwind and like actually look into, but really thank you so much for like addressing that and you know telling people, especially older people too, because they are still living in the world with us. So I wanted to know actually, as someone deeply involved in ESG and communications, how do you make complex climate issues relatable to everyday people?
So one of the things that I started recently on my page was I started doing ESG for like analyzing ESG for um, businesses that everyday businesses that people love. So they get interested because if, for example, someone is talking about a particular brand, right, that they know that, oh, I use this brand or I do something with this brand, they get more interested. So first things, that's one thing I do. And I'm not going to reduce the fact that some of these things are very complex, honestly. But one of the things that I do is I try as much as possible to communicate it in a way, in the simplest form. It's something I call it like a dummy book, you know, break it down break it down that simply. But I think that interest is also important. But
Right.
one thing I'm very, I take very seriously is make sure it's emotional, it's relatable to people. So things that they use, the kind of everyday things that they use, the things around them is because that's at the end of the day, the complexities of ESG is really about people, about like making profit as a business and making sure that these systems are put in a structure. So it's just really making it that simple to people and making them realize it's
I strongly agree with you said, like the dummy book, even I need that. Like whenever I'm doing like homework, I need someone to dumb down something. So of course, climate change is really heavy and there's a lot of information. If like news, like everything else, if you're not getting someone to guide you, then you're gonna get lost. And so thank you so
yeah,
much for really guiding people and actually teaching them what climate change is, what ESG is, and everything like that. And
yeah.
I do want to know, of course, what has been the most meaningful experience while building um, climate-focused initiatives?
The most meaningful experience.
Hmm.
To be honest, I've been at some of the I've been at, say, COP, the United Nations Conference on Climate Change, the African Climate Summit, and the most meaningful experience that I've gained, I've worked on some policy and done like the most meaningful experience that I've gotten really is sometimes just talking to kids because I think in some way there's so much, I feel like the genuineness of how they think is is where some of the most brilliant innovations come from. And it may sound very cliche, but this is the reality. It's like from the genuineness of their hearts. Like, you know, I was talking to a child um in Southwest Nigeria, and I was telling him about like drought and how like it affects, how climate change influences drought. And then he was like, oh, it's not going to be able to play football anymore. Ah, then what is going to happen to people like Victor Osimhen, who is a player? You see how like because they play football on the field and there's grass. So he's already thinking about football players like maybe Victor Osimhen or like Cristiano Ronaldo, and then they're not going to watch football anymore. So you could see how interconnected, how they are thinking of like real life things, because realistically, there are statistics that um, present drought and football pitches in the real sense, in real context. But
Okay.
like I was very, very intrigued that wow, these kids are thinking about football and drought, and I'm like, yeah, this is something to really bring on. So yeah, it's that's to be honest, that's the most I find it very interesting when I go talk to kids.
I mean, like you said, kids are very creative. I feel like at a very young age, we can think of anything we want. I remember as a kid, I thought, the sky could rain down food. I don't know. I was just such a creative kid, but really, it's our imaginations and like what we think. And it's sad that as we get older, it kind of does dwindle a bit. But kids are the future, and like everything around us, we're going to take in the world someday. So we have to start getting ready for that. But thank you so much for just educating the youth and just young people on this, so you can build up more climate activists and people in this field as well in Africa. And I want to know, how do you personally deal with discouragement when progress in climate action feels slow?
Um, I think that so there's this particular quote from someone I really respect. He gives it in a very interesting way, and I'm gonna explain it. So it goes like this. It says, "We do not love because," so it's on love really, but I'm gonna explain to the climate crisis way. It's we do not love because it is right to love, or because our emotions tell us to love. It's we love because it is human to love. And that's the real way to see it. Whether or not hope in the real sense is, is a thing, it's a thing that we should have, right? But we speak about this, we bring up these conversations because that's what it means to be human, right? That's what it means to be human in the real sense. Because, for example, how do I even explain this in the easiest way? So we were giving birth to, you know, in this planet, we die in this planet. It is then human for us to take care of where we are staying. So it's minus the discouragement of whatever is happening. We do this because it is our lifestyle. It's who we are to protect where, or not even protect, to be present and support the system. Because I don't think we can. It's not our role in the real sense to protect the planet. Is going to be okay. It's we that have a problem, you know. So it's
Yes.
human to be it's human to be you know,
Yeah.
to
No,
do all of this that we do.
exactly. I get what you, no, I get what you mean. It's human because, like you said, it's not a role, but it's a duty. Like it's something that we're born into, and we have to take. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, we die, we born, but in
yeah,
between that line, we have to, I guess, keep feeding the world. I don't know, like keep giving
yeah,
her nutrients, keep making sure that she's fine because she's gonna be right. We just have to trim it, make sure everything looks pretty. But I get
yeah.
what you mean, and that's really smart because even if climate action is taking slow, climate change isn't an issue that you solve overnight. It's something that will
Hmm.
take decades. So the rush is might not be there, but of course, at least progress and people are understanding that it's like there and relevant, and so that's really important. And I want to go into the second to last question. And if you had the opportunity to influence one major environmental policy in Africa, what would it be and why?
If I had the chance to influence one major climate policy in Africa, it's a lot really that I could do.
Well,
um,
maybe in Nigeria.
Nigeria. Hmm. Nigeria is a really complex place, you know.
It's very
um, I think that enforcement. So just there are no enforcement agencies that actually um, follow through on the laws that are already existing. Nigeria has like a climate change law,
Mhm,
but these laws are not being enforced. And I think that for any country to develop or to, for systems to be created, humans need structure sometimes.
mhm,
And I think that that lack of structure is what is happening in terms of even globally, right? Countries that are emitting, they're not creating these structures and enforcing it because they feel like they can get away with it. So enforcement of existing laws would help and help us do so much in terms of let's say our NDCs, for example. So, yeah.
That's true because with if we can push more edu schools to teach kids about climate action and enforce it more in businesses and marketplaces, teach people that this is very important, of course, and put it all over Africa, this can really
Yeah.
help everyone and also the climate as well. But truly, what you said was so amazing, Io. And I want to go into the last question. And I know that this is a bit funnier question, lighthearted, but
Right.
what is your favorite bowl of noodles and why?
My favorite bowl of noodles. Oh, I don't want to promote any brand.
I know what you're going to
uh, you know what I'm gonna say?
say. Yes.
Yeah, it is what you think it is. The Nigerian. I
Yes.
don't want to
Is it
for some
Indomie?
reason. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, I, it's Indomie, but I think that yeah, it's Indomie. I have some in the kitchen now,
Me,
maybe.
me too. I have the American version too. I have both of them. Indomie is
Nice.
I eat egg with Indomie. I sleep with Indomie. I drink Indomie. Everything
Um,
is Indomie. Even though it's unhealthy. As a kid, I loved Indomie. So I can be
you
bothered.
you know what's interesting? Yeah, when I was growing up, anytime I get sick, and what's it, they giving me malaria drug or whatever, my mom, I always one thing I always ask for is like Indomie and egg. Like that, then they know that IO is okay. When he asks Indomie and egg, it's good.
It's an indicator that I'm still alive. Like,
Yeah.
no, truly, Indomie is a universal just dish. I was talking to someone from Egypt the other day, and I said, "What's your favorite bowl
Mm,
noodle?" She said Indomie, and I was like, "Ah, so everyone eats Indomie in Africa."
yes, this
No,
is this is Indomie.
yes.
It
So
has. I should I should do a report about them. Analyze their report maybe.
honestly, that the thing they're putting in there is bad for people. I don't know why we're all eating it, but it's
Oh
good.
yeah.
It's good. We can't complain. But thank you so much, Ayo, for just being here on the podcast. Your words are absolutely wise. Keep doing a great job, and just thank you so much for what you're doing overall.
And thank you so much for inviting me and doing this. This is really nice, Jordan. And anytime I see my Nigerian people, I'm always like, yeah, let's go.
Night job alive.
Niger.
Have a good day,
Yeah.
Ayos.
Thank you very much. Have a good day too.